ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकाय चक्षुरुमितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मायं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवंश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजन सहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान सहगना ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितं हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीन बंधु जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी विश्वानुसुत देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिय वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, thank you all for coming. So today we will continue our discussion on Bhagavad Gita chapter 18 from verse number 20 onwards. All of you should have the chart with you for chapter 18 that you have also on the screen. We will populate some portion of the lower part of the chart of chapter 18. And then towards the end of our class, we will also revise Bhagavad Gita chapter 6 as well as Yoga Ladder. Before we continue, as I had mentioned last time, that there is a Kirtan planned here in Scarborough, Toronto area with the accountants group where I belong. It's on the last Saturday of February 28th. So if anybody is interested to contribute, I have posted the link in the chat. Can follow the link, and when you click on the link, it will first verify you with a one-time passcode so that unauthorized people do not enter into the site. Now, those of you who are outside of Toronto, North America region, right now I did ask the organizer to open up so that all over the world can enter their number and get the one-time code. Right now it's set for Canada number only, but it's going to get open. Or alternatively, you can connect with the devotee here in Toronto area to see if you want to contribute. Again, there is absolutely no pressure at all. It's just if you are interested to contribute. And you don't have to contribute a lot, just small amount is also okay. All right, so last class we discussed about the 5 factors, which is the Gyan of the Karma Yogi, that 5 factors are involved for any activity to happen in the material world. Now, section 3, there are subsections, and the title is Analysis of Actions as per the Various Modes. So this is also Jnana of the Karma Yogi. Now, these subsections, I will first give you some subsections and lay the foundation. First subsection is verses 20 to 22. Jnana or knowledge will be analyzed in the 3 modes. So knowledge is first step in action. Part 2 is verses 23 to 25. karma in the three modes is analyzed. Part 3 is verses 26 to 28. Karta in the three modes is analyzed. Now, understand this with an example that how jnana, karma, and karta are related for any action to happen. So jnana is the first step in action. Only when I have knowledge will I do something. Understand with an example. A child comes to know that chocolate is delicious. Child hears this from friends or parents. And then the child tastes the chocolate. After eating the chocolate, it becomes jnana that, oh, chocolate is delicious. Next is child thinks, I want the chocolate. He goes to the parent and asks, I want chocolate. So next is karta, that the child goes and gets the chocolate. This way, the jnana, karma, and karta are there, and these three comprise to the development of action, to the unfolding of action. Now, verse number 29 is a standalone verse in between that Krishna will state that he will now explain buddhi, meaning understanding, and dhriti, meaning determination, in the three modes. So the fourth subsection is verses 30 to 32, buddhi or understanding in the three modes. So we'll discuss between jnana and buddhi when we reach these set of verses. So jnana is more in terms of conceptual knowledge. Buddhi is more in terms of seeing things in their proper perspective, meaning the understanding which is required for action. So jnana is more at the beginning of action, and buddhi is more at the implementation of action. Fifth subpart is verses 33 to 35, dhriti or determination in the three modes. When one is acting, one has to continue to act in the mode of goodness or higher to get appropriate or better results. And then Krishna will say that I will now explain sukha or happiness. So this subpart 6, verses 36 to 39, sukha or happiness in the three modes. So ultimate phala is what we want, is sukha or happiness. Now, happiness can also be in the three modes or three types, meaning it can be in goodness, passion, or ignorance. Everybody with me? Questions, comments, realization so far? All right. So now verses 20 to 22, jnana or knowledge will be analyzed in the three modes. Knowledge is the first step in action. Shruti, are you able to read verse 20 translation?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. That knowledge by which one undivided spiritual nature is seen in all living entities, though they are divided into innumerable forms, you should understand to be in the mode of goodness.
So in all living beings, one sees the imperishable truth as undivided. Although living entities are divided into innumerable forms. Now, this knowledge to see the imperishable truth as undivided is in the mode of goodness. Now, very important to understand that knowledge in the mode of goodness is still not necessarily complete spiritual knowledge. It's only when you reach transcendence is when you get complete spiritual knowledge. And Prabhupada gives an example for this about Socrates. Now, Socrates was not necessarily in any parampara, but he had some knowledge of the soul. And he was fearless at the time of death based on his understanding of the soul, specifically the immortality of the soul. So, some long story that he was getting hanged or somehow getting death, and he was fearless. He says, well, even if you kill me, my soul is immortal. Now, Socrates did not know Krishna as Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he somehow just knew the Atma Tattva, the soul. Now, primitive understanding is that one thinks everyone differently based on their bodily form. Now, it is good that one can see unity, but when one see unity based on spirituality, understanding that there is a common spirit among all living beings, that knowledge is in the mode of goodness. Questions, comments, realizations? All right, so now Krishna will talk about knowledge in the mode of passion. Shreyanshi, 21 translation.
That knowledge by which one sees that in every different body there is a different type of living entity you should understand to be in the mode of passion.
So the knowledge by which one sees that in diversity of different body, there is different type of living entity. That knowledge is in the mode of passion, where one mistakes the outer and inner to be one. So there are some thinkers, they say that there are different kinds of souls. There is a vegetable soul, there is an animal soul, there is a human soul. All this is incorrect. Specifically, if you look at Christians, their commandment says, thou shalt not kill. But they have misinterpreted, or at least their desire is to eat animal flesh. So they have come up with the idea that soul in the human body is different compared to soul in the animal body. And it's okay to kill the animal because it's a different kind of soul. that is incorrect understanding. Now, this sort of differentiation, meaning that souls in animal is different and soul in plant body are different, and those souls in animal and plant bodies are not eternal. And these souls come into existence within a body at a particular point in time and then they die. Now, this is all superficial understanding. So, we are not criticizing any particular tradition here, just pointing out different schools of thought which may have evolved over a period of time in different ways. But Krishna clearly says that such understanding is rajasic in this particular analysis of the soul. Now, this is knowledge in passion, where one sees external forms and one assumes inner essence to be based on the external bodily form. And one does not think that there could be a common essence of spirit, because all these people look different, therefore they must also be different. No, that's not correct. There is an inner core that is common, and that capacity to see the common core, that knowledge is in the mode of goodness, which we just discussed in the previous verse number 20. While the inability to see that common core is in the mode of passion. Questions, comments, realizations? Mhm. Monarch, Mansi, unmute.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So Prabhu, does this understanding is just for just to for the acknowledging the fact, or we should realize this sometimes we know the fact but still we are judgmental, right? So is that in the mode of passion or is it goodness?
So first understand, let me lay the base again. First understand what is going on. That Krishna is explaining all these various items under the modes so that you can judge the person is influenced by which mode. So we are talking about the jnana of karma yogi. Now karma yogi for himself, he will aim to first come to mode of goodness in all these items. So we're going to populate this big chart. And all these items should be in goodness. Then you will get the result in goodness. If you have a permutation combination, that one item is goodness, the other item is in passion, the third in ignorance, you cannot expect the result of goodness. As we progress, I will explain this with an example also. Right, so it's not a question of judging someone, it's for your knowledge. Of course, you can see this in the others without judging them. For your understanding, you can see how the modes are working. But this is the knowledge of the karma yogi so that he stays detached. Monarch, you can ask your question again.
And now Prabhu, yeah, it's clear now.
Parth, Pratyush.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I just want a small clarification. As it's said that the soul in animal and plant body are not different. Does that mean that they're interchangeable also? Like, for example, the soul in plant body in this life may be reincarnated as soul in a human body or no? Like, what is the nature?
Yeah. Soul is absolute identical, and um, a soul in plant body, if he gets the mercy of Krishna or pure devotees, will bypass all the 8.4 million life forms and come to human form immediately. There's a live example for this. So those of you who are at the Toronto temple, those of you who have attended morning 7 o'clock Aarti, you get Charnamrit. What happens afterwards? Anybody knows what happens afterwards to that Charnamrit, and you wash your hands in the water? What happens to that water? Anybody knows? Has anybody been to any of the respective your temples for the morning 7 o'clock Aarti when they give Charnamrit?
So we wash our hands and that uh, waste goes in the drainage.
It does not go in the drainage.
Like the no, not the actual Charnamrita. Like
The
when we
water.
lick all the Charnamrita, still it's a um, after licking that also it's basically a Charnamrita. And when we wash our hands, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah. So you take Charnamrit, few drops, you lick the Charnamrit, and then there is a bowl where you rinse your hand. So what happens to that water? Abhishek Prabhu, you want to say?
Uh, I think it's put in some ground or mud where there are plants.
Yeah, very good. So at the Toronto temple, outside there is grass on the back side of the back door of the altar where it goes. So that water where the devotees have honored the Charnamrit and then they have washed, it is Maha Maha. And devotees drain that water not in a drainage, but they put it out on the grass. That grass is getting real Maha Maha mercy. That grass is bound to cross all the 8.4 million life forms and become a human form in the next life because it's getting Mahaprasad directly from so many devotees. Prasad. Pratyush.
Yes, Prabhuji, understood. Thank you.
And same way for animals, if an animal gets a mercy, so I'll tell you, my Guru Maharaj, where he is, um, one of the devotee has a very gentle dog. So when my Guru Maharaj goes out on book distribution, they take the dog. I mean, the devotee comes, the dog also comes. So they have created a jacket on top of this dog with sleeves to hold the books. So wherever they are going, instead of devotees carrying the books, they put this jacket or the sleeved jacket on top of the dog, which is filled with different books. And the dog is there. Every door, the dog is knocking with his hand or barking or just making some noise. It's a very gentle dog. And as soon as the person opens the door, they see this unique that a dog is carrying all the books and he's very gentle. And then my spiritual master or devotees, they'll pick up a book from the sleeve of the dog and hand it over. They take it. Now this becomes a devotional service for that dog, serving Guru Maharaj directly, right? So he's bound to skip all these animal forms and jump to human form in subsequent life. That's the most likely scenario. We don't exactly know, but that's the most likely scenario. Pratyush, everybody?
Yes, Prabhuji, understood.
Very good. Yeah, so soul is identical. In any of the 8.4 million life forms, soul is identical in quality. Now, verse number 22, Krishna is going to explain knowledge in ignorance. Now, this is a paradox, right? Because knowledge and ignorance are opposite. So how do you understand this part? Raksha 22 translation.
Yes, Prabhuji. Text 22. All that knowledge by which one is attached to one kind of work as the all in all, without knowledge of the truth, and which is very meager, is said to be in the mode of darkness. Hare Krishna.
To consider one part of reality as the totality of reality, that is knowledge in the mode of ignorance. This is first thing, that one thing is everything. And the other characteristics of knowledge in ignorance are to become attached to one activity as if it is totality, as if it is everything. Example is materialism. Materialism leads to assuming matter to be totality of reality. Now, obviously, this is incomplete part of reality. Matter is incomplete part of reality. Matter is an outer covering. Matter is not our inner substance. Therefore, when we mistake the outer covering to be inner also, to be everything, that leads to knowledge in the mode of ignorance. There are multiple aspects to reality. And materialistic people, they have just taken one aspect of reality and assume it to be the totality of reality. And based on this misconception, they try to analyze, explain how everything has come about. This is knowledge in the mode of ignorance, where one assumes a fragment of reality to be totality of reality. When Krishna is analyzing in this way, the thrust of Krishna's argument is that don't live in ignorance. Try to live at least in goodness. Questions, comments, realizations on Jnana part in the three modes?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, does it mean in the last verse? My question is that before reading Bhagavad Gita, whatever I learned is so-called material science is knowledge of darkness. If the conclusion is not Krishna.
You are absolutely correct. We'll soon cover this in Shishopanishad mantras number 9, 10, and 11, where this word vidya and avidya comes again and again. If you have the literal read of verses of mantra 9, 10, and 11 is very confusing. So what those Shishopanishad mantras 9, 10, and 11 describe, that first it says vidya of material world. It also explains avidya or ignorance of material world. And then in the next verse, it combines material world knowledge and material world ignorance as compared to spiritual knowledge. So yes, we do need material knowledge for the functioning part. Functioning in the material world, yes, we do need material knowledge. But that material knowledge, if it's not helping you to come out of bodily concept of life, is only going to help you how to earn money and how to enjoy the body and senses, that knowledge is essentially useless. It's going to just continue to bound you in the material world. Monarch?
Yes, Prabhu, got it. Thank you.
Pratyush.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. My queries is that so whatever we are doing as per our professional requirement and gaining knowledge and using that knowledge for take care our professional requirement responsibilities, how it can be uh, designed or designated.
So that knowledge is in ignorance. And an example is going to come up very soon in our discussion in these set of verses about somebody who's a teacher. So let's wait till that example comes up. But briefly, the knowledge that we need to function in the material world, yes, that knowledge is required. But that knowledge is still not going to take you out of the material world. And in Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada explains in 1.2.8, Shrama eva hi kevalam, that if your material world duties is not helping you to gain attraction to hearing the message of Krishna, then it is so much useless labor. Prabhupada says, Shrama eva hi kevalam. So I briefly answered, and more discussion is coming up, and I'll explain this with an example. Once I go through a little bit of philosophy, then the example will make a little more sense rather than me giving the example right now. Parth Prabhu, does that help you for the time being?
Thank you, thank you.
Right. So now Krishna is talking about sattvic karma, that action in the mode of goodness. Priyadarshini, 23 translation.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, text 23. That action which is regulated and which is performed without attachment, without love or hatred, and without desire for fruitative result is said to be in the mode of goodness. Hare Krishna.
So, action prescribed by scripture, that which is done without any attachment. When one does not have attachment and one does not have aversion, without any motivation for fruits of the results, such karma is in the mode of goodness. Now, Krishna repeatedly urges us not to be attached to material fruits, because material fruits will bind us in material existence. This is a consistent theme in Bhagavad Gita, that do not be attached to anything material. Now, Krishna will talk about karma or action in the mode of passion. Follow me, 24.
Hare Krishna. Text 24. But action performed with great effort by one seeking to gratify his desires and enacted from a sense of false ego is called action in the mode of passion. Thank you.
So work which is done with worldly desires, desire for fruitive results, or done in arrogance, thinking I am the doer, after great trouble that involves severe labor, such karma or such action is in the mode of passion. Ugra karma can be in passion as well as can be in ignorance. It depends on specific activity and consciousness in which that activity is done. Now, work in ignorance and in passion is not the same. But many times, work which is in passion goes down to ignorance after some time. Work in the mode of passion, one feels dragged to do more and more and more and more. And one never feels satisfied no matter how much one does. No matter how much one does, one continues to feel unsatisfied that I want to do something more. I'll give you a live example for this. Previously, I had a manager, and I used to sit right outside his office. So for his lunch, he will go down to cafeteria and buy some lunch. So to go for lunch, he will run. He's just going down in the building. There is cafeteria in the building. So he's just so impatient to get back to his computer and emails. He will run to get his food and then grab it, and he will again run back to his desk. Now, this going to the food court and coming back could take about 10 to 15 minutes. Of course, he's a manager. He also has a cell phone. His emails are coming on his cell phone. While waiting in his line, he is scrolling his emails. As soon as he comes to his desk, and I've seen this so many times, almost every day when I was in that job. When he comes to his desk, he puts down his food and he's just focusing on his emails. Oh, who sent me email? What is that email? For some 30 minutes, he's going on to his emails. Why? Because that's the work done in the mode of passion. That no matter how much he is doing, he's never satisfied. He just wants to do more and more and more and more. I mean, you can see this all around in the material world. I only gave one example. Everybody with me? All right, now work in the mode of ignorance. Parth Prabhu, 25 translation.
Hare Krishna. Text 25. That action performed in illusion, in disregard of scriptural injunctions and without concern for future bondage or for violation or distress caused to others is said to be in the mode of ignorance.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
For violence or distress caused to others is in the mode of ignorance. So, work that causes bondage, causes destruction and distress to self or to others is in the mode of ignorance. Now, all work can cause bondage, but the mode of ignorance is special in terms of bondage because the bondage is excruciating, just like addiction. Addicts are viciously bound. Those addicts, they find it very difficult to break through. In mode of ignorance, either one is violent against people or destructive towards things. Now, these are self-defeating kinds of action. Now, action can be by body, mind, and speech. So, harshness means, in terms of speech, the person is not sensitive and speaks bad words, uses foul language, and also thinks that to speak like this sarcastically or insultingly, as if it is something very intelligent on his part, or that it is a sign of his cleverness. No, it is not. All these are mistakes. Some see this as sign of cleverness, but it's a mistake. Actually, this is not a sign of cleverness. It may require some intelligence and some cleverness to come up with sarcastic taunts. But the point is that when one delights in hurt that one is causing to others, then that is tamasic. That is ignorance. A pure devotee is ready to take up suffering of others so that others can become free from suffering. Devotee is para dukkha dukhi. Pure devotees become unhappy when they see others unhappy and they want to relieve the other people of their unhappiness. And for that purpose, they are ready to take up anxiety upon themselves. In contrast, is the perverse way of materialistic people, these sarcastic people, that by causing pain to others, they get pleasure. This is tamasic. Everybody with me? Okay, so now Krishna will describe three types of karta or doers in the three modes in verses 26, 27, and 28. Mansi 26 translation.
Hare Krishna. Text 26. One who performs his duty without association with the modes of material nature, without false ego, without great determination and enthusiasm, and without wavering in success or failure is said to be a worker in the mode of goodness. Hare Krishna.
One is not attached to one's own activities. One is not attached to fruits of activities, and one does not imagine oneself to be the doer. One understands that whatever success comes about, there are multiple factors involved in that success. And I alone, I am not the only doer. We already discussed the 5 points that have to come together for any activity to happen. He is filled with determination and enthusiasm. Sometimes people think life in goodness is very boring life because life may seem in slow motion. Now we have discussed in chapter 14 that slowness is not a defining characteristics of the mode of goodness. The defining characteristics of mode of goodness is that there is contemplation, thinking before action. That means one thinks, what is the right action to take? In contrast to goodness in the mode of passion, first there is action without lot of thinking. And then they realize, oh, I did something wrong. Why did I do that? And then they go into lamentation. So action first without lot of thinking leads to regretful action, which is such action is in the mode of passion. Goodness is you're thinking and acting. It's not slow. You're just thinking and acting. Verse 27, Krishna will describe action in the mode of passion. Matan 27 translation.
Hare Krishna. The worker who is attached to work and the fruits of work, desiring to enjoy those fruits, and who is greedy, always envious, impure, and moved by joy and sorrow, is said to be in the mode of passion.
Person who is filled with attachment, is very attached to fruits of work, is greedy, always envious, unclean. And we can compare this from verse 26, the second line, that for the karta who is in goodness. So here in 27 it says harsha shoka anvita, means difference is joy and sorrow are the results of action. For person in mode of passion, focus is not on action, rather focuses on the consequences or the results. In passion, one's focus is very much on the externals. Now, a person may be in goodness, but may have to do passionate activity. Similarly, person may be in passion, but may have to do goodness activity. And I'll explain this with an example. Will also answer to the inquiry Path Prabhu asked a few minutes ago. So, example is teaching can be broadly an activity in the mode of goodness because teaching essentially involves focus on knowledge. We internalize knowledge and share it with others. Others learn that gives us a sense of fulfillment. So this is positive. Now, What was positive here? That somebody is learning based on what the teacher is teaching. The other scenario is if someone is teaching just for the sake of prestige, a person is not really concerned whether I have knowledge or not. Person is not concerned whether others are learning or not. The teacher is simply concerned on displaying his own ego that look how much I know. Now, some teachers, they delight in showing how foolish the students are. They speak in confusing and complex ways, and the students would say, I don't understand. And the teacher's ego gets pumped up, and the teacher would say, these students, they thought they are so clever. Now I have shown you how foolish you are. I mean, the teaching profession is in mode of goodness, but the person teaching is either in passion or in ignorance, that he is speaking in such lofty language that the students are deliberately not able to understand. Means he is speaking in such a way so that the students deliberately don't understand, and so that he can then point out, look how foolish you are. that is not everything in the mode of goodness. So just because the profession is in the goodness, but the person is in passion or ignorance, well, the result will not be of goodness. Right? You have to ensure that all components that we are soon discussing and will soon populate on the chapter 18 chart, everything has to be in goodness for result to be in goodness. As we progress and as we populate, I will also give my personal example, not to glorify myself, but just to give a personal example for this point, as well as to what Parth Prabhu asked a little while ago. Now, if a teacher's comment that you are foolish, you don't understand, it leads to decreased desire in the students for learning, well, then the teacher's comment is undesirable. Now, some teachers, they just focus on analyzing the subject without considering the audience or the level of the audience. They just go deep into a subject saying, I have to do justice to the subject. Arey Baba, but what about doing justice to the audience? They speak in such a lofty way, they may not want to impress others. But it is just that they are not concerned about others at all. Some people, they just want to impress the audience. And then there are some people who want to educate the audience. These are the best teachers who want to educate the audience. They will speak according to the level of the audience, because they understand that this is the level of the audience. They start from the student's level and move upwards. This way, they'll bring the students up, and students can learn and grow this way. Now, these examples are given by His Grace Chaitanya Chandas. And why did Chaitanya Chandas give this example about motives of teaching? Because teaching in itself is in the mode of goodness. But if one is teaching with ego, with arrogance, that look, I am so great, I am going to exhibit my knowledge without considering the audience and without considering the students. So the karma may be in goodness. It's not maybe, karma is in goodness. The teaching karma is in goodness. But the karta is in passion. So Krishna is giving both, so that over a period of time, we can choose karma in the goodness, as well as we as karta also be in goodness. Everybody with me? Questions, comments, realizations? Parth Prabhu, does that answer? And I'll also explain one more example for this.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Everybody, rest of you, have a lot of silence today.
Yes, Prabhuji.
All right, now verse 28 is action in the mode of ignorance. Lalita, are you able to read 28 translation, chapter 18?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. The worker who is always engaged in work against the injunctions of the scripture, who is materialistic, obstinate, cheating, and expert in insulting others, and who is lazy, always morose, and procrastinating, is said to be a worker in the mode of ignorance. Hare Krishna.
So that work which is not according to scripture. Now this word obstinate. Now obstinate and determination may seem similar, but there's a difference. Determination is positive, while obstinate is negative. Explain with an example that Dhruv Maharaj, who is a 5-year-old boy, he goes to the forest to approach the Supreme Lord to attain his desires. And when his spiritual master Narad Muni discourages him that no, this spiritual path is very difficult. You are only 5-year-old boy. You go home right now. When you grow up, you come back. I will explain to you. Now this 5-year-old boy Dhruva is very determined. Now we don't call Dhruv Maharaj as obstinate. No, he was determined. We call Dhruv Maharaj as determined. Same way, Duryodhan, Ravan were also discouraged from going against the Pandavas and against Lord Ram. But still they continued. And they are examples of being obstinate, because their stubbornness, means the stubbornness of Duryodhan and Ravan, was against scriptures. Versus Dhruv Maharaj was determined to approach the Lord. He said, no, this is a process to follow. It could be difficult, but I still want to approach the Lord. And the other point is about deceitfulness. That person is very treacherous. To get one's own end, person will act in such ways that the person does not care for others. And actually one uses others for his own purpose without caring for others and without caring for moral principles. The other point in this verse is about Nishkrita, that someone who is expert in insulting others. Now, sarcasm, if it is meant to convey truth, to illuminate another person, that is good. An example is in in Nectar of Devotion, chapter 13, Rupa Goswami gives a sarcastic comment that if you are not attracted to Krishna, then don't follow, don't go there. So he's not telling don't be attached to Krishna. Rather, he's saying in a sarcastic way, don't get attached to Krishna. So he's conveying a truth. So this is good way. This is good use. But Naishkrita, the people who just delight in hurting others by their sarcastic and insulting comments, this is very undesirable. Another point is alas or lazy. One does not do anything. And just sits around, sleeps. And another point is procrastination. That one has to push the person to do something, and after great difficulty, the person does something half-heartedly. You tell somebody, go look for a job. Like push very hard. The person is so lazy, just sits the whole day, sleeps, doesn't do anything. And after great difficulty, you convince this lazy person to apply for a job, and the person still half-heartedly says, oh, okay, I will do it. Still procrastination is there. All these are characteristics of karta in the mode of ignorance. So we have finished discussing jnana, karma, karta in the three modes. Questions, comments, realizations before we populate the chart? So I will give my personal example to answer Parth Prabhu's inquiry a few minutes ago. I'm not here to glorify myself, just giving an example that is very relevant. Now, before all this digitization of all these records, visualize historically. Say if you go to a lawyer's office, what do you see? Must have seen in a movie or someplace. What do you see in a lawyer's office? Somebody?
There are a huge amount of books on the shelves.
Okay, very good. Yeah, books.
Other records.
Yeah, books. Very good. Shruti also books, right? So how these books come about in the lawyer's office? So I'm also an accountant from India, where tax law used to be my favorite topic. Now, how these books in the lawyer's office happen is, back when it used to be physical books, that every week, whatever court case happened throughout the whole of a particular country, that court case that same week comes in a loose bound paper. And when you get 6 months worth of these loose cases, then the lawyer will say, okay, now I have enough cases that it will become a bound book. So he will take all of those, remove the cover from those individual 6 months every week. So he has about 24 tiny booklets, and will become like a big bound book. Now all these cases, they have a very long number. Anybody knows, or if you open any law book or you go to any legal website, it will have a very long number. That number has like the date, the place. There are so many factors built into that number. It's a logical number which will determines so many factors. But it's basically, the point I'm trying to make is that it's a very long alphanumerical number. Now, when I was studying in India, I used to get these case booklets every week, and I used to study, and they used to stick on me these numbers. These cases are very important, and my colleagues in my offices, they will call me or they will ask me if I'm in person in office. Oh, we read that case. What's the case number for that? So that case number used to stick on me, although I don't have eidetic memory, but it still used to stick on me like an eidetic memory. Now I gave the example, what Srila Prabhupada says as Shrama eva hi kevalam, that if your material task does not lead to attraction to hearing the message of Krishna, then it is so much useless labor. Now I had this ability back from India that these numbers used to stick on me, but it was still useless. It was still material. It wasn't helping me get out of this material world. Later, few years down the line, now many of you know that now I remember Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam verses like this, like on a click. Many of you have seen, many of you have mentioned this. So what did I do here? I have this material ability, and it was useless because it's not helping me to get out of this world. And somehow that ability Krishna has given. Now I'm using it in Krishna's service, that I have used to memorize these verses or memorize the reference numbers. Therefore, many of you always ask a question and they say, how am I going to quoting these numbers? Well, that's where it came from. Many decades ago, what was a material, completely material ability has now been transformed for spiritual, for serving Krishna. So that's the example I want to give. I also gave the teaching example for Path Prabhu's inquiry, that what about this worldly knowledge, worldly abilities? Yes, you need them, but they are so much useless labor if it does not generate attraction to hearing the messages of the Lord. Path Prabhu, everybody, okay, and I ask for forgiveness. I don't want to glorify myself. I'm just giving a live example.
Yes, Prabhu, is very exciting. But thing is that my just understanding is that for discharging your material duty as official duty or as per your designated job, that was also required, no? That remembering the things.
Yeah, you are correct.
That is also required.
You are correct. That was required at the time. I'm not denying that. The point I'm trying to make is that the material world knowledge, what Monarch Prabhu also asked, material world knowledge and material world ignorance are both combined as ignorance in Ishopanishad mantras number 9, 10, and 11. Because Ishopanishad says, whether you are engaging in sense gratification in ignorance, or whether you are engaging in sense gratification in knowledge, it still is sense gratification. It still is going to bound you in the material world. What, Prabhu, everybody?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, yes.
Everybody on the same page? Questions, comments, realizations? All right. So let's populate the chart. Everybody should have the chapter 18 chart. You also have on the screen. So this is the bottom part of chapter 18 chart. And each box will come up on screen, highlighted in yellow. And I will speak for that particular box and you will populate. So first is the intersection of knowledge and goodness. Comes from verse number 20. Knowledge by which one who sees one spirit soul in every living being, although different bodies. Next is knowledge and passion. Comes from verse 21. Knowledge by which thinking diverse bodies, therefore souls also diverse. Thinking material body is living entity. Thinking consciousness also destroyed with destruction of body. Bodies differ, therefore there are different types of consciousness. Body is soul. And last is consciousness is temporary. So I should have said earlier that write in small fonts. There are a lot of points to write. For the next box, knowledge and ignorance, also you have a lot of points to write. So write in small fonts. Knowledge by which considers one part of reality as totality, one is attached to work, one is limited to body and bodily comfort, without knowledge of truth, all this is knowledge of common men because of ignorance. Not acting according to Vedic scriptures is like knowledge of animals. engaged in 4 basic activities of eating, sleeping, defending, and mating. So now the next set of boxes, again we'll start from the top, is action and goodness. Comes from verse 23. Action which is regulated by scriptures in Varnashram is without attachment, performed in Krishna consciousness for Lord's satisfaction. Next box is action and passion. Action which is performed with great effort, seeking to gratify desires enacted from false ego. Next is action and ignorance box. Comes from verse 25. Action which is performed disregarding scriptures, without concern for future bondage, for violence or distress caused to others. Next set of boxes is performance of action and goodness. Comes from verse 26. Worker in goodness is in Krishna consciousness, performs duty without association with modes, without false ego, with determination and enthusiasm, without wavering in success or failure, equal in distress or failure. Next box is performance of action and passion, 27 verse. Worker in passion is attached to work and fruits, desiring to enjoy the fruits, is greedy, is envious, impure, affected by joy or sorrow, no desire for higher elevation. Last box to populate for today is performance of action and ignorance. Comes from verse 28. Worker in ignorance works against scriptures, is materialistic, is obstinate, is cheater, expert in insulting others, lazy, morose, and procrastinating. So we have finished discussing Jnana, Karma, Karta in the three modes. And in our next class, we'll be discussing about Dhriti, Buddhi, and Sukha in the three modes. Any questions, comments, realizations before we start revising Bhagavad Gita chapter 6 and the Yoga Ladder? So let's start discussing Bhagavad Gita chapter 6 onwards. So today we have Mansi is going to be the first presenter, then I'll play recording for Diksha and Abhishek Prabhu for chapter 6, and then Monarch is going to present Yoga Ladder. Mansi.
Yes, please. Hare Krishna. I request permission and sorry, Prabhu, just a minute. Hare Krishna. I request permission and blessings from all you devotees, my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, and all the gurus in disciplic succession, and the Sri Sri Radha Krishna, to be able to speak on the Bhagavad Gita chapter 6, part 1. Please forgive me for any shortcomings. So, chapter 6 is the last chapter in the Karma Yoga section of the Bhagavad Gita, and it is titled as the Dhyana Yoga or the Ashtanga Yoga. This chapter is focused on four things. First one is the Ashtanga Yoga process. Second is the different stages of spiritual realization. Third is importance of conquering mind. And fourth is fixing the mind on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, yoga is the process of connecting with the Lord, and yogi is one who is connected with the Lord. To become a yogi, it requires a sannyas or a detachment from the material world, and one must give up all the desire to enjoy selfishly. The yogi is not one who is idle with no action. Rather, he is a sannyasi who is completely free from selfish desires, and he works without taking any of the fruits of his action. He understands that he is the eternal servant of the Lord. The Lord describes the eightfold process called Ashtanga Yoga, through which one can become a yogi. So this yoga helps to achieve the perfect mental equilibrium and control of the senses and mind. So at the neophyte stage of this process, Aruksha, one must have to follow the yama. These are certain don'ts, niyam. These are some actions to do. Asana, the position of the sadhana. The pranayama, which is the breathing process for the regulation. And at the advanced stage of this process, Arudha, one progresses to the pratyahara, which is the shutting of the senses, dhyana, which is meditating on the Lord Vishnu, parana, which is the controlling and the fixing mind upon complete absorption, samadhi, which is the complete absorption. So the regulated activities performed in the world is in the neophyte stage will lead to spiritual progression, and one reaches to the advanced stage, the gradualization of activities will lead to spiritual advancement. The difference between two stages is the control of the mind. Ashtanga yoga is the practice through external seclusion and internal control, and concentration of the mind is there. So to even be considered a neophyte in Ashtanga yoga process, one must have to follow these three characteristics. One does not have to engage in the fruitive activities which lead to sense gratification. Second, one should not engage in the fruitive activities that results in sense gratification. And third one is one has to internally give up the desire for the sense gratification. So this yogic practice involves a highly regulated lifestyles. One cannot eat too little or too much. One cannot sleep too little or too much, and one must have to be free from the sex life. And who is regulated and not exaggerating eating, sleeping, entertainment in recreation will have a focused yoga to get a fruitful results. So here I conclude the section 1 of chapter 6 of Bhagavad Gita. Please forgive me for any of my mistakes. Hare Krishna.
Very good. Next is Diksha. I'm going to play her presentation. Let's hear.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Seeking permission from you all, Srila Prabhupada, all gurus in disciplic succession, and Shri Radha and Krishna in presenting summary of chapter 6, I would like to ask for forgiveness for any mistake and shortcomings in the process. Chapter 6 is the last chapter of Karma Yoga section in Bhagavad Gita and is titled Dhyana Yoga. It focuses on Ashtanga Yoga process, various stages of spiritual realization, and importance of conquering our mind and fixating it on Supreme Personality of Godhead, that is, Lord Krishna himself. Yoga is the process of being one with the Lord, and yogi is the one who is connected to the Lord. To become a yogi requires sannyas. A yogi isn't the one who stays idle, rather he is a sannyasi who does not seek fruits from any activities, yet they indulge in it for purification. A person becomes a yogi immediately when he connects himself to Supreme Whole. A sannyasi is free from all selfish desires. One who does not give up the worldly pleasure cannot be a yogi. One cannot connect to the Lord until they detach desire to enjoy on bodily level. They understand that he is eternal servant of the Lord. The Lord describes eightfold yoga system through which one can become a yogi. This yoga process helps one to achieve perfect equanimity and control of senses and the mind. At neophyte state of these stages, Aruruksha, one must follow yama, these are don'ts, niyam, these are do's, asanas, sitting in particular position, pranayam, using of breath to avoid distraction and control consciousness. At advanced stage of the process, arudha, one reaches pratyahar, which is shutting of senses, not feeding anything our senses ask for. Dhyana, meditating on Vishnu. Dharana, control and fixed mind in complete absorption. Samadhi, complete absorption. Regulated activities in neophyte stage will lead one to spiritual progression, and once in advanced state, the gradual cessation of activities will lead one to spiritual progress. Difference between these two stages is the control of the mind. Ashtanga yoga is practiced by external seclusion and internal control of the mind. One who wants to practice Ashtanga Yoga must have these 3 characteristics. 1. Does not engage in fruitive activities that results in sense gratification. 1. Does not engage in fruitive activities leading to sense gratification. 1. Has internally given up the desire for sense gratification. This yoga practice requires highly regulated lifestyle. One cannot eat too little or too much, sleep too little or too much, and should be free from sex life. Extravagance in material life stops focus in yoga. To practice this yoga, one must find a secluded place without distraction and sit in a steady asana and fix the mind on the Lord or Paramatma within. Thereafter, one works to purify the heart and bring the mind to the state completely free from agitation. One who practices this yoga experiences complete cessation of activities and is situated next to Brahman realization. Thereby, yogi who has conquered the mind has transcendented 3 dualities of material life. They are cold and heat at bodily level, happiness and distress at mental level, honor and dishonor at ego level. After a yogi has successfully controlled mind, senses, and consciousness, yogi is situated at the level of Atma with no more material desire. The mind will be like a flame in a windless place. It will not flicker even when one interacts in the material world. Material desire causes the mind to flicker. Practicing yoga with determination and with no other thought except fixation on the self will lead to abandoning of all desire bond of mental speculation. Once the yogi reach the stage of mental conviction, the yogi will progress to the state of self-trance or samadhi and reach perfection where they would be free from all material desire. This yoga practice focuses on connecting with the soul, and through this one will get connected to Super Soul, which is Paramatma. A yogi whose mind is fixed on Krishna will experience highest level of transcendental happiness. A true yogi sees the Paramatma in himself and realizes that Super Soul resides in every heart. A yogi sees no difference between a scholar or an ant. This is Paramatma realization and is referred to as Samadarsana. Once a yogi realizes his qualitative identity with his supreme soul, he worships the Lord, understanding that Lord and Paramatma in him is one and the same. Yogi becomes free from material contamination, all reaction of his past deeds, and achieves highest state of perfect happiness in transcendental loving service to the Lord. Yogi becomes situated in the Lord, meaning that yogi's will has overlapped with the Lord's will, making him strive to fulfill Lord's will, which is Bhagwan realization. Upon hearing Lord describing Ashtanga Yoga process, Arjuna raises practical concern regarding the difficulties in implementing the Ashtanga Yoga process and describes the mind as follows: Chanchalam, flickering; Pramati, agitating; Balavat, strong; Dridham, obstinate, and mentions that the mind is difficult to control than the wind. The Lord sympathizes Arjuna and states that it's difficult to curb the restless mind, but also reassures that it is possible by suitable practice and by detachment. The Lord further goes on mentioning how trying to practice yoga while engaging the mind in material enjoyment is like an effort to ignite a fire while pouring water on it. Yoga practice without mental control is a waste of time. A mind cannot be steadily controlled unless one is engaged in Krishna consciousness. Krishna conscious person easily achieves the result of yoga practice without separate endeavor. Hare Krishna.
Really, really super excellent. Okay, let's hear from Abhishek Prabhu.
Hare Krishna everyone. Seeking permission from all devotees, Srila Prabhupada, Shri Guru Parampara and Shri Shri Radha Krishna to be able to present on Bhagavad Gita. In this discussion, Arjuna asks a very pertinent question to Lord Krishna, that what is the destination of an unsuccessful yogi? An unsuccessful yogi is in an unfavorable situation because he neither gets spiritual perfection nor he enjoys material happiness. For this question, Lord Krishna describes two trajectories for such a yogi. In the first case, if the yogi has lot of material desires and he is unsuccessful in spiritual life to get perfection, he goes to heaven where he can fulfill his material desires, and then he takes birth in a aristocratic, well-to-do family so that he gets a suitable circumstance to continue his previous spiritual practice, as he already has some spiritual inclination from his past lives. The second case is of a yogi who has done a long practice but has not achieved perfection. He gets birth into family of transcendentalists or devotees, and in such a way he gets all facilities for devotional practice. Eventually such yogis attain perfection. So there is no loss, even if the yogi is unsuccessful. So in this section, the focus is on yoga or connection with the absolute truth. Srila Prabhupada explains how the process of asceticism, empiricism and fruitive work are imperfect, even though there may be some conception of the goal, that is connection with the absolute truth. Here, Bhakti Yoga is not compared, because in the next verse, Lord Krishna emphatically declares that of all yogis, Bhakti yogis are the topmost. So this verse also concludes the 6th chapter and the first 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, where the mood has been detachment in action as the prominent mood. And in the next 6 chapters, the spotlight is shifted to Lord Krishna and the mood is devotion in action. With that, I finish my presentation. Please correct me if there were any mistakes. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Also super excellent. Any questions, comments, realizations for the presenters? All right, all presenters have already done a very good job in summarizing chapter 6. I will also quickly summarize chapter 6. So chapter 6 is titled Dhyan Yoga, also known as Ashtanga Yoga. When one has to renounce the world, Krishna says to practice Ashtanga Yoga instead of Jnana Yoga so as to get liberation. At initial Aruruksha stage, activity or Karma Yoga is the means of advancement. And when one becomes Arudha or advanced, only then one gives up work. But just by giving up work, one does not move from the initial Aruruksha stage to the advanced Arudha stage. No. The difference is the control of mind to be able to stay equipoised to external things. The eightfold activities are the stages of Ashtanga Yoga, are meant to achieve perfect mental equilibrium and to control the senses. The eightfold activities are Yama, Niyam, Asana, Pranayam, Pratyahar, Dhyan, Dharana, Samadhi. To come to the Arudha stage or advanced stage, one does not engage in fruitive activities and does not engage in fruitive activities that lead to sense gratification. Mind is the main obstacle in coming to the Arudha advanced stage. Mind is the cause of bondage, as well as mind can be the cause of liberation. Mind absorbed in sense objects causes bondage. Then mind is enemy because mind is in control. And mind detached from sense objects causes liberation. Then mind is the friend because the soul is in control of the mind. To free the mind from the default attraction to sense objects, we need to fix the mind on Krishna. We cannot say, I don't need my mind and senses because mind is very troubling. No, we need our mind and senses to act and interact in this material world. But we have to regulate our mind and senses. As long as one's mind remains unconquered, one has to serve the anarthas such as lust, anger, greed, etc. But when mind is conquered, one voluntarily agrees to follow the dictations of the Supreme Lord, the dictations of the Paramatma within. Srila Prabhupada says, we are always servants. Either soul is servant of Krishna or Maya. There is no third choice. One who has conquered the mind becomes Samadarshina towards gold, pebbles, friends, enemies, etc. Next, Krishna describes the core sadhana of Ashtanga Yogi, meaning what the Ashtanga Yogi practices to elevate himself. Just as you all bhakti yogis, you do chanting, you read scriptures, you do devotional services, etc., as your sadhana to purify and to elevate yourself. Now, Ashtanga Yoga is not the yoga process for Kali Yuga. Some of the Ashtanga Yoga sadhana items can be used while we are doing our Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga activities, such as Ashtanga Yogi resides in a secluded place, does not have material desires, sits on a steady asana, which is not too high or not too low, sits on a deer skin to avoid animal predators, then fixes the mind with one attention and thus controls the mind and senses. Sit straight with body, head, neck in straight line. Look at the tip of the nose. Regulated in eating, sleeping, entertainment, material activities. Otherwise, yoga is not focused. Material desires cause my consciousness to flicker. Therefore, fill your mind with spiritual desires. A true yogi sees Paramatma in all beings. And Krishna says, by the way, I am that Paramatma in all beings. For one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor is he ever lost to me. Upon hearing the sadhana of Ashtanga Yoga, Arjuna says, the system of Ashtanga Yoga does not seem practical to me because Ashtanga Yoga involves mind. It is easier to control the wind than the mind because mind is chanchal, mind is childlike, restless. Mind is pramati, mad, agitating. Mind is balavad, very strong. And mind is dradam, obstinate. Krishna sympathizes with Arjuna that yes, it is very difficult to control the mind, but with practice and suitable practice, it is possible to control the mind. As Krishna said, to have patience, persistence, and detachment to control the mind. Therefore, Arjuna asked another question. Okay, controlling the mind may be possible, but it will take a very long time. What if one starts the process and is not able to complete? What happens to him? What happens to this person who takes to the path of yoga but then later gives it up? Krishna says there is no loss on the path of transcendence. One does not lose anything, nor is it decreased. Those who have done some spiritual advancement, they go to heaven to fulfill their material desires. After the pious credits are finished, they again take birth either in pious or prosperous family to revive spirituality and continue spirituality from where they left off in their previous life. Other possibility is one who has made significant spiritual advancement in current life, but somehow not able to complete the path of spirituality. He immediately takes birth among advanced transcendentalists and revives his spirituality and continues from where he left off. After going through elaborate analysis of the various processes, various paths, Krishna comes to the conclusion that Bhakti Yoga is the best and the highest path. Krishna says in last verse of chapter 6, 6.47, Yoginam api sarvesham mad gaten antaratmanaha shraddhavan bhajate yo mam same yukta tamamata. Krishna is not giving a blanket endorsement for any yoga path. Krishna is not recommending yoga as a process for bodily fitness, but Krishna is using yoga as a means for connection with the personal absolute truth. Srila Prabhupada would quote 6.47 quite often, saying, yoga should culminate in bhakti, in Bhagwan. Bhakti yoga is the highest because bhakti yoga includes the action and detachment of karma yoga, the knowledge of Jnana yoga, the meditation of Ashtanga yoga, plus of course love and devotion of bhakti yoga. Krishna has very strongly stated that connecting with him is the highest truth. The flow of the first 6 chapters is that action or renunciation were Arjuna's options, meaning karma yoga or Jnana yoga were Arjuna's options. Krishna revealed much more. Krishna says within action, there can be renunciation of action. Sorry, it cannot be renunciation of action. It can be renunciation within action. So Krishna says within action, there can be renunciation in action also. That you are continuing to do action, but you renounce the fruits. Meaning Krishna is combining action and renunciation as the third choice. And it is not just renunciation within action, but devotion in action. Arjuna's spotlight was on the body. Krishna moved the spotlight from body to soul. Soul can be liberated by doing Nishkam Karma Yoga. From soul, Krishna moves the spotlight onto Paramatma to gain liberation. And Krishna goes on to say, by the way, I am that Paramatma within everybody. From 6.47 onwards, focus will become much more on the word Mam. Mam means Krishna. Focus is lot more on Krishna. That's a quick summary of chapter 6. Questions, comments, realizations? I will also give you the essence of the first 6 chapters in a simple statement. The essence of the first 6 chapters, the short statement is, with mind and sense control, realize 5.29 in truth, act in the material world according to 5.11, so that you can come to 6.47. So let me elaborate this. The essence of first 6 chapters is, with mind and sense control, realize 5.29, not just in theory, but in practice, that Krishna is the only enjoyer. Bhoktaram yagya tapasvam, sarva loke maheshwaram, swadram sarva bhutanam gyatva mam shantim rachati. Act in the material world according to 5.11 with detachment only for purification and not for sense gratification. Action done in the world with detachment is far better than renunciation of action. So that you can come to 6.47. Yoginam api sarvesham mat katen antaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam same yukta tamamata. Meaning you come to practicing bhakti yoga from wherever you are, whatever level you are, whatever position you are at. These first 6 chapters are just to set the base for bhakti yoga for chapters 7 to 12. Action done with devotional intent is higher than renunciation without devotional intent. All right. Now Monarch Prabhu is going to present a yoga ladder. Monarch Prabhu, you should be able to share your screen.
Sure, Prabhu. Hare Krishna everyone, Hare Krishna Prabhu. I request permission and blessings from all you devotees, Guru Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, and all the Gurus in disciplic succession, Sri Sri Radha Krishna, to be able to speak on Bhagavad Gita topic. Please forgive me for any shortcomings. I am presenting Yoga Ladder. So there are various paths one can attain perfection. Path number 0 starts from the animal life. So in the animal life, it's unregulated sense gratification, and the destination is lower species and lower planets. Now, this particular path is not only applicable to animal in animal body, but also it applies to the human in animal body who only thinks about the sense gratification without any spirituality. Now one can move from path number 0 to path number 1, which is Karma Kanda. Now in this path, scriptures get added, and it's a regulated sense gratification with following of dharma. Now the next path is next path is Karma Yoga, from Sakam Karma Yoga to Nishkam Karma Yoga. Now in Karma Kanda, scriptures are already there. In this path number 2, detachment is getting added. And in this path, live in a way so that there is no suffering, and more focus is on the spirituality. Now, the destination for path number 1 and 2, so there are, it depends on the presence or absence of the bhakti. if the destination without bhakti depends on the last thought, which mode one leaves the body. And the destination with bhakti, let's say if bhakti is less than 50%, maximum one can attain is the Brahman effulgence. Moving forward, the next path is path number 3, which is Jnana Yoga. Now, already the scriptures and detachment is there in path number 2. Here in this path, the knowledge is getting added. In Jnana Yoga, there is no activity, no action in the world, so that there is no suffering. And the destination, the maximum destination one can attain through this path is the Brahman effulgence. Now, the next path, number 4, is for Ashtanga Yoga. Now, for Ashtanga Yoga, there are two different paths. One is from Karma Kanda to Sakam Karma Yoga to Nishkam Karma Yoga to Gyan Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga. And the path number 5 is from Karma Kanda to Sakam Karma Yoga to Nishkam Karma Yoga, skipping Gyan Yoga and directly jumping into the Ashtanga Yoga. Now, scripture, detachment, and knowledge were already there from the previous path, and in this particular path 4 and 5, meditation is getting added. Similar to path 3, there is no action in the world, so that there is no suffering. And the maximum destination one can attain through path number 4 and 5 is Paramatma realization. Then comes to the various path of the Bhakti Yoga. Now, the path number 6 is called the express elevator. From Karma Kanda to Sakam Karma Yoga to Nishkam Karma Yoga, skipping Gyan Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga and directly jumping into the Bhakti Yoga. Now, the next path for the Bhakti Yoga is path number 7, where we have Karma Kanda to Sakam Karma Yoga to Nishkam Karma Yoga to Gyan Yoga, skipping Ashtanga Yoga and then directly jumping into the Bhakti Yoga. The path number 8 is Karma Kanda to Sakam Karma Yoga to Nishkam Karma Yoga, skipping Gyan Yoga and directly jumping to Ashtanga Yoga and then to Bhakti Yoga. And path number 9 is all the from Karma Kanda to it includes basically all the steps from Karma Kanda to Sakam Karma Yoga, to Nishkam Karma Yoga, Gyan Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, and then Bhakti Yoga. And path number 10 is from Karma Kanda, skipping all the Sakam Karma Yoga, Nishkam Karma Yoga, Gyan Yoga, and Ashtanga Yoga, and directly jumping onto the Bhakti Yoga. Now, in this particular path, scriptures, detachment, knowledge, and meditation were already present, and love and devotion is getting added. The major focus here is on Krishna. How can I best serve to the Krishna? If I can serve best by acting in this world, then I will act in the world. Or if I can serve best by renouncing in the world, then I will renounce. Also, the Bhakti Yoga shows the scientific process to transfer one's desire from the matter to how to serve the Krishna. The destination is pure devotee in the mode without the mode of awe and reverence generally will attain Golok Vrindavan, and pure devotee in the mode of awe and reverence generally will attain the Vaikuntha planets. Now, this is a quick summary of the yoga ladder. I will also explain couple of points for what Arjuna's confusion was. As mentioned below, path number 6 is the express elevator, while rest of the paths are like a staircase. If a person is taking an elevator, then there is not much endeavor required to climb the highest destination. However, if one takes an option of staircase, a person has to climb by himself. So Bhakti Yoga is like an elevator and rest all the paths are like a staircase. For example, if one goes back to the previous path of Ashtanga Yoga, then staircase stops here. The only option to go for move forward to the highest level is to take an elevator. Now, the challenge with the Ashtanga Yoga is that one needs to stop all the activities and restart the activity for the Bhakti Yoga, which is the biggest challenge. That's why what Krishna is concluding, that Bhakti Yoga is the best and easiest way to achieve the highest destination of the Bhagwan realization compared to all the other paths. In Karma Yoga, a person is continuing to do activity with the intention to serve Krishna. Now, Arjuna's confusion is why Krishna is asking Arjuna to fight even if Gyan Yoga is higher than the Karma Yoga. So Krishna is saying that though the Gyan Yoga is at higher level compared to the Karma Yoga, sadhana which is performed in the Gyan Yoga is very, very difficult. So Krishna is concluding what he's saying, that Karma Yoga is higher than Gyan Yoga, meaning Krishna is not only referring karma simply as an action, rather Krishna is referring to karma with devotion. So here I'm concluding. Please forgive me for any shortcoming. Hare Krishna.
Really, really super excellent. Any questions, comments, realizations for the presenter, a monarch? So Monarch Prabhu has already done a spectacular job on the yoga ladder. My yoga ladder presentation will be word for word and slide for slide for what you just saw. It will literally be a copy of what Monarch Prabhu just presented. But if you all please allow me to also present, that would be helpful for me as well. All right. So yoga ladder, one can follow various paths, and the destination one attains varies according to the path one follows, although the destination is not a black and white answer. So first there is animal life, meaning it's not really a path. Animal life means unregulated sense gratification. The destination is lower species and lower planets. One can start the spirituality path by doing karma kanda. So this is path number 1. So there are scriptures in karma kanda. Karma kanda means regulated sense gratification, that one wants to enjoy plus also follow dharma. Then one can progress from karma kanda to karma yoga as path number 2. Scriptures were already there from before the karma kanda level. Now detachment gets added in the karma yoga level. Karma yoga, one thinks that I want to live in a way so that there is no suffering. So there is more focus towards spirituality also. Now, what destination does one attain by following karma kanda or karma yoga path? So in these paths, understand that in path number 1, somebody is just stopping at karma kanda, is not progressing further. Path number 2 is just stopping at karma yoga, is not going any further. What's the destination? Karma kanda and karma yoga destination without bhakti will depend on the last thought, as well as in which mode one leaves the body. So in 8.5 and 8.6, Krishna has described, if you think of me, remember me, you will come to me. Or whatever else you will remember at the time of death, that's what you will attain. And karma kanda and karma yoga, you have bhakti, but the bhakti component is less than 50%. At best, one can attain Brahman effulgence. One can follow another path, which is path number 3, which is a Gyan Yoga path, that one is going from Karma Kanda to Karma Yoga to Gyan Yoga, and he's just stopping at Gyan Yoga. Then what happens? So in Gyan Yoga, the scriptures and detachment were already there from the Karma Kanda and Karma Yoga path. Now knowledge gets added. So Gyan Yogis, there is no activity, and he does not want to act in the world because he does not want to suffer. The Gyan Yogi destination maximum he can attain is Brahman effulgence. Another path one can follow are path number 4 and 5, which are Ashtanga Yoga paths. So one can go from Karma Kanda to Karma Yoga to Gyan Yoga to Ashtanga Yoga, and he stops at Ashtanga Yoga. Then what happens? Or the Ashtanga Yogi can follow the path of Karma Kanda to Karma Yoga, skip Gyan Yoga, and jump to Ashtanga Yoga. What happens if he stops at Ashtanga Yoga? So at Ashtanga Yoga level, the scriptures, detachment, and knowledge were already there from the previous levels. Now meditation of Ashtanga Yogi gets added. Ashtanga Yogi is also thinking not to act in the world so that he does not suffer. Ashtanga Yogi destination maximum he can attain is Paramatma realization. Now comes various paths for Bhakti Yoga. You can also see on the side that there is a grayed out set of boxes, and they go lighter and lighter as you go higher and higher towards spirituality, towards Krishna. The bottom, animal life, it starts dark because one is either an animal in an animal body or one is animal in a human body running up and down 24 hours with a suit and tie, has no time for spirituality, is an animal in a human body. So Bhakti Yoga, there can be various paths one can follow. One can follow path number 6, which is also known as Express Elevator, that you can follow Karma Kanda, Karma Yoga, skip Gyan Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga, jump to Bhakti Yoga. Or he can follow path number 7, where Karma Kanda to Karma Yoga to Gyan Yoga, skip Ashtanga Yoga, jump to Bhakti Yoga from Gyan Yoga. Or one can follow path number 8, which is Karma Kanda, Karma Yoga, skip Gyan Yoga, jump to Ashtanga Yoga, and then to Bhakti Yoga. Or one can follow all the steps, path number 9. Karma Kanda, Sakam, Nishkam, Gyan, Ashtanga, then Bhakti Yoga. Or path number 10, one can follow from Karma Kanda, jump directly to Bhakti Yoga. Now what happens in Bhakti Yoga? So scriptures, detachment, knowledge, and meditation was already there from all the previous paths. Now love and devotion gets added. Bhakti Yoga means focus is on Krishna. How best I can serve Krishna. If I can serve best by acting in the world, then I will act in the world. Or if I can serve Krishna best by renouncing the world, then I will renounce. Bhakti Yoga is a scientific process to transfer our desires from matter to serving Krishna. The destination attained by Bhakti Yogi is that if one is a pure devotee, Kevala Bhakta, but he is not in the mood of awe and reverence, meaning they are pure devotees in the mood of love, they will attain Goloka Vrindavan. And pure devotees, Kevala Bhakta, in the mood of awe and reverence, they will attain Vaikuntha planets. Now, we highlighted Express Elevator as path number 6. So what's going on here? Karma Yoga to Bhakti Yoga path, skipping Gyan Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga, is known as the Express Elevator, while rest of all the other paths, from all the 10, rest of all the paths of Ashtanga Yoga, Gyan Yoga, Karma Kanda, meaning the first 5 paths, they are known as staircase. So what's the difference? It is Krishna's mercy that lifts the person up. Therefore, the speed of lifting up is much faster. Krishna says in 12.7, I am the swift deliverer of the devotee, of the Bhakti Yogi devotee. So when a person is in elevator, there is not much of an endeavor for the person who is inside. While on the staircase, the person has to do his own endeavor to climb by himself. Now, more importantly, the elevator goes to the highest floor in the building. Say, assume the yoga ladder is like a stacked building. And elevator takes you to the highest floor of Bhagwan realization. While staircase, the other paths, so I said that Karma Kanda is stopping at Karma Kanda, Karma Yoga stopping at Karma Yoga, Gyan Yoga stopping at Gyan Yoga, Ashtang Yogi stopping at Ashtang Yoga. So those are in between steps, in between levels. The staircase only go up to that level. If one has to go beyond those levels, then he has to take Bhakti Yoga path, meaning meaning the elevator path. There is no other option. So Bhakti Yoga is like the elevator, which is easier and swifter, plus Bhakti Yoga alone take us to the top floor of Bhagwan realization. Gyan Yoga takes one to Brahman realization. And by adding Bhakti, one will also attain Bhagwan realization. Now, the other processes other than Bhakti Yoga are difficult, are gruesome. Plus, they also don't lead to the ultimate destination. They only take you up to in-between levels of Brahman effulgence and Paramatma realization. Now, activity is natural. Krishna says in 3.5 that no one can refrain from doing action. So at Gyan Yoga and Ashtang Yoga, one gives up action. And when one reaches Bhakti Yoga, one has to resume action. So first, stopping action is difficult because soul is always active. And then say if you have stopped, to restart activity is even more difficult. So both these points, stopping the action and restarting after stopping, both are hard. In this express elevator path number 6 in Karma Yoga, you are continuing to act. Now you are just elevating your intention to serving Krishna. Now, Arjuna's confusion at the start of chapter 3 was, why are you asking me to do this ghastly warfare, meaning do Karma Yoga, if Gyan Yoga is higher than Karma Yoga on the yoga ladder? Then why are you asking me to do the lower Karma Yoga and fight? So Gyan Yoga is definitely higher than Karma Yoga on the yoga ladder because at Gyan Yoga, the person is no longer engaged in karmic bondage. The problem is the sadhana of Gyan Yoga is very difficult. Therefore, Krishna says in 12.5 that progress through Gyan Yoga is very difficult. So Gyan Yoga is definitely higher than Karma Yoga on the yoga ladder. But in practice, the Gyan Yoga may not be easier. In practice, Karma Yoga is easier because one is continuing the natural tendency of acting. Now, many think, including Arjuna, that action leads to bondage and renunciation leads to no sin. Bhagavad Gita disagrees with this statement. Krishna says action can lead to liberation when done with detachment, as explained in Bhagavad Gita 3.9. Plus, renunciation, if done without purification, will lead to bondage, as is explained in 3.6, the Mithyachar verse. If action, meaning Karma Yoga, is done with devotional intention, then that person is higher than the one who has renounced the world. When Krishna says that Karma Yoga is higher than Gyan Yoga, Krishna is not referring to karma simply as action. Rather, Krishna is referring to karma with devotional intention. So action done with devotional intention is higher than renunciation of world without devotion because action with devotional intention becomes Bhakti Yoga. And you can see on the chart that Bhakti Yoga is definitely higher than all other levels. So normally, renounced person is considered more advanced than the one who is engaged in the world. But Krishna is saying one who is engaged in the world for Krishna's sake, then the one engaged in the world simply for renounce, then the one who is engaged in the world for Krishna's sake is higher. This is a quick summary of the yoga ladder. From all the yoga ladder paths, you should only keep a snapshot of what you have on the screen, that follow path number 6, which is Karma Kanda to Karma Yoga to Bhakti Yoga, or follow path number 10, Karma Kanda to Bhakti Yoga. Don't worry about any other paths. Whatever be your level, simply start adding Bhakti. And Bhakti Yoga process is so potent that Bhakti Yoga will elevate anyone and everyone. That's a quick summary of yoga ladder. Any questions, comments, realizations? All right. So next week, we, as you have on the screen, we have chapter 7, Abhishek, then chapter 8, Ritu and Sumnima Prabhus are going to present. All of you should also prepare. Thank you all for tolerating few extra minutes. We will stop here. Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna. Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Prabhuji.
Prabhu. Thank you.
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna, Prabhuji.